Good afternoon, this is Irado Krikorian with the news in English. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reiterated Russia's stand towards the crisis in Syria, calling for a political solution and the halt of violence. During a press conference in Moscow, Putin said the Syrian people were the only side entitled to decide their own future, affirming that Russia had no special interests in Syria and all it cared about was Syria's stability. He added that there would be no military solution in Syria, and in case there was one, it would be useless. On the other hand, the Russian president criticized the American Magnitsky Law as being unfriendly towards Russia and destructive of the relations between the two countries. Putin pointed out that the USA suffered a lot in terms of human rights and that Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo prisons, as well as other secret jails, testified to the violation of the laws of human rights. Russia has reiterated its stand, calling for solving the crisis in Syria through dialogue and, according to the Geneva statement, away from conferences held abroad. The Russian stand was voiced by the chairman of the International Relations Committee at the Russian Duma Council, Mr. Alexei Boshkov, who affirmed that the measures taken by the so-called Friends of Syria group indicated that they wanted the armed conflict in Syria to continue to undermine the state. In a press conference in Moscow, Boshkov added that it was not enough for the Americans to destroy Iraq. Now they had the intention to destroy another country, adding that the Americans had declared that more than 40% of the armed men in Syria were Takfiri fundamentalists and terrorists of various foreign nationalities. He stressed that the American declarations were mere pretexts for armed intervention in Syria. Boshkov said Western countries believe that the opposition will set up Western democracy in Syria. However, the opposition's kind of democracy will be that of the Gulf kingdoms and Emirates. Units of our armed forces have chased some terrorist groups that spread panic among citizens and carried out acts of sabotage in Al-Husseiniya village in Damascus countryside, inflicting heavy losses on them. An army source declared that some of the terrorists were killed near the old bakery, a mortar shell and a car were destroyed which carried the terrorists' weapons and ammunition. The source added that another unit of our armed forces attacked a hideout of terrorists in Al-Bashawat Road, killing and injuring dozens of them and destroying a car equipped with a machine gun. The authorities continue to clear the city of Homs and its suburbs of the armed terrorist groups. They have seized a large quantity of weapons in a deserted house in Al-Sultaniya farms that included Copra missiles, rifles and explosive devices. On the other hand, an army unit destroyed a machine gun-equipped vehicle and killed the terrorists inside near Al-Ghajar village in Al-Rastan suburbs in Homs Governorate. The operation also resulted in killing a number of terrorists in a hideout in the same area. In Hama and its suburbs, an army unit eliminated a number of snipers and destroyed the RPGs that were in their possession in Al-Fustuk market in Murk village in the governorate's suburbs. Another army unit intercepted a terrorist group that tried to infiltrate into the city through Syrian al-Khalidiyya axis, inflicting on them heavy losses. Mazda Fire Squad today extinguished a fire that broke out this morning at a room where university students resided in Al-Jala Hotel in Mazda. No casualties were reported. A source at the Damascus Governorate's police department said the fire was caused by an electricity circuit as the students did not disconnect the electric heater before leaving the room, thus causing the fire that burned the room's contents. Ministry of Religious Endowments and the Sheikhdom of Muslim Muwahideen today announced the death of Sheikh Aqil of the Muslim Muwahideen community in Syria, Hussein Jarboua, who died yesterday evening at the age of 87 after suffering from a disease. In a statement to Sana, first Sheikh Aqil of the community, Hakmat al-Hijri, hailed the national stances of late Sheikh Jarboua, saying that the deceased was known for his calls for amity and peace and adherence to national unity and dialogue. Sheikh Hussein Ahmed Jarboua was born in 1925 and had been the Sheikh Aqil of the Muslim Wahideen community since 1965 after the death of his father. He left behind 3 sons and 7 daughters. In a flagrant Israeli defiance of international resolutions and the calls to stop the settlement's construction expansion, the Israeli occupation authorities have approved a new plan to set up a huge colony in the West Bank. The UN Security Council's member states, with the exception of the USA, have issued statements opposing the settlement's construction plan in the Palestinian lands.
The USA spares no effort, whether at international circles or on the ground, for serving its protégé, the usurping entity of Israel. The witness to this is what happened yesterday at the UN Security Council session. The Council's member countries have challenged Washington's constant attempts to obstruct any effort in the way of taking a firmer stand at the UN regarding the Israeli settlement's construction process in the occupied Palestinian lands. They issued statements that opposed the Israeli authorities' plans to expand the Zionist settlement activity in occupied Jerusalem and the West Bank, which Washington refused to condemn. Such a stand sets the doors wide open before the Israeli occupation US-supported attempts to annex more of the occupied Palestinian lands and abrogate their Arab identity through setting up more settlements, the latest of which was the declaration of a scheme to build up 532 settlement units south of the West Bank. This is added to other plans announced by the occupation authorities to set up 2,610 settlement units in the West Bank, in addition to 6,600 other units declared last month, in order to consecrate the concept of occupation and the loss of the Palestinian people's rights.
In Egypt, the demonstrations have continued, protesting against the new draft constitution, which the Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood have tried to impose. The Egyptian judiciary has confirmed its protective role against any law or authority's transgression after the General Secretary of the Supreme Committee of Elections asked to be exempted of the task of supervising the second phase of the new draft constitution's referendum. Meanwhile, the National Salvation Front of the Egyptian opposition called on the citizens to vote by no in the second phase of the referendum.